Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to go on a pretty incredible journey. We'll map out how you can go from zero to creating stunning visuals and even full-blown applications, all with Python.
So let's just dive right in. The big question, right? How do you actually turn a line of code, just text on a screen, into something visual, something you can see and interact with? Well, that's exactly the path we're going to explore today, literally from your very first pixel all the way to a complete working app.
It turns out there are really three main paths you can take. Think of it like this. First, you'll be the artist using a library called Turtle. Then you'll become the builder with something called Tkinter. And finally, you'll step into the role of the analyst with Matplotlib. These three tools, they are the foundation for pretty much your entire creative coding adventure.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty. First stop, becoming the artist. Seriously, this is where the magic starts. You're about to see just how simple it is to get Python to draw its very first shape.
And you know what? The barrier to entry here is super low. Once Python's set up, all you do is import a library called Turtle. That's it. It gives you these really simple commands, functions technically, that tell a little virtual turtle on your screen exactly what to do. With just one line of code, you've turned Python into your own personal artist. And the commands are exactly what you'd expect. Think of it like giving directions to that little turtle. You've got forward, backward, left, and right. When you mix those basic moves with the power to change colors and speed things up or slow them down, well, you've got all the building blocks you need to create pretty much any shape you can imagine. Okay, so we've got the basic moves down. Now this is where the real fun begins. We're going to take those super simple building blocks and combine them in some clever ways. We'll use a core programming concept to create something that's, well, it's truly beautiful and way more complex than you'd think.
The secret sauce here is a little something called a nested loop. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Imagine telling Python, hey, draw a square. Easy enough. Now imagine telling it, okay, do that 100 times, but before you draw each new square, just turn a tiny bit. That's it. This simple layering of instructions is how you get these stunning, intricate patterns that would be almost impossible to do by hand.
And this just shows you the leap, right? You start with something so basic. Go forward, turn right, repeated 4 times. Boom, a square. But then you nest that simple logic inside another loop that just adds a tiny little turn each time, and you get this gorgeous spirograph. It's an incredible jump in complexity, and all it took was a couple of extra lines of code. Amazing. So, we've had our fun as an artist with Turtle, our digital paintbrush. But now it's time to switch gears. We're going to put down the paintbrush and pick up a digital toolbox. We're moving from just making cool art to building actual, practical apps. Things with buttons you can click and boxes you can type in. And for that, we need a new tool called Tkinter.
All right, let's head into the workshop. We're going to see how Tkinter lets you build the graphical user interfaces, GUIs, that we all use every single day.
So, Tkinter gives you this whole toolkit of components. You start with the main window. That's kind of like the frame of your whole application. Then you just start adding stuff to it. Buttons for people to click, labels to show text, input fields for them to type into. There's even a canvas element that gives you a blank space to draw on or pop in images right inside your app. Okay, time for another costume change. Let's put on our lab coats. We're shifting gears again, moving from building apps to our third and final path, analyzing data, and more importantly, presenting it visually. For this, we're stepping into the laboratory with our final tool, Matplotlib.
And the cool thing about Matplotlib is that with just a handful of code, you can create these classic, really powerful charts. Take a bar chart like this, it's just the perfect way to compare different things at a single glance. Super clear, super effective.
Or hey, maybe you need to show how different pieces make up a whole. No problem. You can whip up these beautiful pie charts or donut charts. And what's really great is that you can customize everything. The colors, the labels, the title, you can style it all to tell a really clear story with your data. Really, the key takeaway here is just how versatile it is. I mean, whether you're tracking something over time with a line graph or looking for connections with a scatter plot, Matplotlib has the right tool for the job. It lets you present your findings like a total pro. Okay, so this is the grand finale, this showcase. This is where everything we've talked about, the artistry from Turtle, the app building skills from Tkinter, and the data smarts from Matplotlib, it all comes together. You can combine these to build some seriously impressive final projects. And here are just a couple of ideas. You could totally use Turtle to build a little mini game, right?
You'd add some logic for things like collision detection and keeping score. Or what about using Tkinter to build an interactive art app? You could use that canvas element we talked about to let people draw with their mouse and even add a little color picker. See how it all connects?
So, you've mastered the fundamentals with these 3 libraries. You've built an awesome foundation. The big question now is, where do you go from here? What's next on the horizon?
And honestly, the possibilities are huge. You could jump into something like Pygame and start building much more complex 2D games with real physics and sound effects. Or you could explore a library called OpenCV, which is just mind-blowing. It's for computer vision, letting your code literally see and understand images and video. We're talking about the gateway to things like AI and robotics here.
And that really brings us to the end of our roadmap. We've laid out the whole journey for you, from a single command to creating complex art, building useful apps, and telling stories with data. The path is clear. So now, the only real question left is, what amazing thing are you going to create first?